Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, Mason African Motives. Still working on mathematics for N2 level, still on factorization. So we shall have a continuation from the quadratic expressions, that is factorization of quadratic expressions. Previously we managed to have a condition like where you'll be just given maybe x squared plus 7x plus 12, like that, where I told you that when the coefficient of a is a 1 like this, you just open two brackets, then you write x and x, then you find factors of the constant term, which is 12. In this case we've got 3 and 4. You just add the numbers plus 3 plus 4. Okay, that was the concept. So this x is from this x squared, that is the x and x. So there are so many ways and concepts that actually can be done, because sometimes they can just try and write around this, but now working with a condition where this is not directly like what we had, like if you were to cross check on this exercise that we are having there on exercise 3.10, you actually see that there is a much difference on these typical questions. So this is actually the last part. The other part is now applications of this factorization. This is our last class on factorization. The other part will be on the applications now. Okay, so how do I factorize such a type of OLEP? I'm going to start with this one with a positive, so that maybe it can be easier for us, which is on number 2 there, where we are being asked to factorize fully or fully factorize like this. All right, from the question that we are given, we see that we are not having that previous condition where the coefficient of x squared was a 1, and we do not have any common term. If you have to cross check, we do not have any common term throughout there. So what are you going to do? Okay, these are the stages that you can actually do. You multiply the first term and the last term, provided that your expression is in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c, like this. So you first rearrange in this way. Once it is in this format, you multiply the first term and the last term like this. Okay, so you multiply these two, so it's 2x squared times 1, which is 2x squared, like this. Okay, so you multiply these two, then you find factors of 2x squared, okay, which add up to give the middle term, which add up to the middle term, and this is our middle term, which is plus 3x, like this. Okay, so guys, what are the factors that we are talking about here? The factors, the numbers that you can actually multiply to get 2. We have got 2 and 1. So 2 and 1, that's 1x, 2 and 1x, like this. But 1x is same as x. So 2 times 1, that's 2x squared. 2 plus 1, that's 3. When you add, they must give us 3x. So 2 plus 1x is 3x. Okay. Minus 2x and minus 1x, like this, which is minus x. If you multiply these two, you're going to obtain 2x squared, but if you add, you're going to obtain minus 3x, which is not this one, because we want positive. So these are the factors. So what am I going to do with these factors? I'm going to replace these factors in the middle term. So replace in the middle term. Okay, so you replace in the middle term. Which is the middle term? The middle term is this one, 3x. So this is going to look like this, 2x squared. The middle term is no longer there. Why? Because we are going to substitute with this, which is plus 2x plus 1x, which is same as x plus 1. So you have substituted these two terms, these ones that when you multiply them, they give you 2x squared. When you add them, they give you 3x. So you substitute them. So 2 plus 1, that's 3. So once you have substituted into this, like you have to factorize now. So now you can factorize. Why? Because we are now back to that concept that if you are to remember, guys, the first part that we did when we worked with factorization, there was a condition where we had 4 terms like this, and I told you that whenever you've got 4 terms, you group them into 2. So you're going to group them into 2. So by grouping, so we are going to apply by grouping. So if we group these into 2, we will find out that for these 2 terms, take note, guys, you are referring to these 2 terms here, 2x squared and 2x. What is common here? 2 and 2 is common, so we're going to factor out 2. X squared and x, so we are going to take this x, the one with the smallest exponent. So 2x is the highest common factor, so this part is the highest common factor. So when you factor out 2x squared, you're going to divide 2x squared divide by 2x. This is going to be x squared and x. We are going to remain with x. As you can see, 2 and 2 cancel. 2x divide by 2x. This will cancel. You're going to remain with 1. 2x over 2x cancels each other. That's a 1. Okay, what is common for these two? I have written this one so that we understand. We are not supposed to write like 1x, but I'm writing this so that we all understand that 1 is the part that is common, only 1. So you're going to factor out plus 1 like this. Once we factor out plus 1, you're going to remain with 1x divided by 1, that's x. 1 and 1 cancels. 1 divided by 1, that's a 1 like this. So as you can see from that part that we talked about by grouping, you will see that we ended up with 2 brackets which are the same, which is x plus 1 and x plus 1. And I told you that you have to factor out the common bracket. Factor out the common bracket. So in this case, the common bracket is x plus 1. So I'm going to factor out x plus 1 like this. So the moment I factor out x plus 1, this bracket, I'm going to remain here with 2x plus 1. So it's another bracket, 2x plus 1, which is going to be written like that. So that is the concept, guys, as you can see, working with factorization. So you're going to end up with 2 brackets, just like the other factorization that we had, but it's only that for this type of factorization, it's not that direct as what we had in the previous question. This time we have to consider this part here, guys. As you can see, that's what we have. Let me just have this other example. Maybe it can make sense if we work with a negative value, which is on number 1. We are given a negative value there, which is 3a squared minus 4a plus 1. That is what we had on number 1. So you're going to do the same thing. Remember, we said you're going to multiply the first term and the last term because the order is already fine. So it's 3 times 1. So you multiply, which is 3a squared. 3a squared times 1. Okay. So this time I have to find factors of 3a squared. So what are these factors of 3a squared? So this is 3a and 1a. Minus 3a and minus 1a. If I multiply this, I'm going to obtain 3. If I multiply this, I'm going to obtain 3. But which one, if I add that, I'm going to obtain minus 4a, the middle term. Take note, it must give you this middle term. So if I add 3 plus 1, that's 4a. Minus 3 plus minus 1, that's minus 4a. So this is the one which gives me the middle term, this one. Not this one this time, but this one, minus 3 and minus 1. That is the one that gives us this middle term. So it is the one that you're going to substitute in the middle term like this. So it is going to be 3a squared. In the middle term, we substitute minus 3a minus 1a in the middle term plus 1. As we can see, we are now having 4 terms. So we haven't changed anything, because if you are to cross check, minus 3 minus 1, that's minus 4. We are still having the same thing. So now we can group into 2 terms. So group into 2. What is common here? We've got 3 and 3. A and A is common, so you can factor out 3a there. 3a is common. So factor out 3a is going to be 3a squared divided by, like this, 3a squared like this divided by 3a. So this will cancel a squared and a. You're going to remain with a minus 3a and 3a. As you can see, guys, this is 3a, 3a, 3 and 3 will cancel, a and a will cancel. That's a 1. So you're going to remain with minus 1. Okay. So the tricky part is here, guys. Do never take this question for granted, because the tricky part is here. This should give us the same bracket. When you factor out here, we must obtain the same bracket as a minus 1. So what must I factor out so that this can be a positive, because this is a negative and here it's a positive. So in order for a negative to be a positive, I have to factor out a negative. So I'm going to factor out negative 1. The moment I factor out negative 1, that means minus 1 divided by minus, minus and minus, that's a plus. So I'm going to be left with plus 1a, which is same as a. Plus divided by minus, that's a minus. 1 divided by 1, that's a 1. So it's plus 1 like this, divided by minus 1. This is going to give us minus 1. So as you can see now, these brackets are the same. So that is the concept, because you can't factor out these brackets if they are not the same. So once like this they are the same, I can now factor out this common bracket. So let's factor out that common bracket of a minus 1. That means I'm going to be left with 3a, and here I'm going to be left with minus 1 like this. So this is what I'm going to have at the end. So as we can see, guys, factorization of quadratic expressions, when the coefficient of a squared is not a 1, it's a direct concept that you need to work on many questions. So never be scared with the type of question that you're given, or to be like, what can I say, to be shocked with the question like this one on number 8. I think that's the one that can maybe someone be scared with the numbers. Why am I having these bigger values? So no matter the values that you're given, the idea there still remains the same. Still we are factorizing. We're going to multiply the first term and the last term. Definitely that's going to be 7 times 3, which is 21x squared. So it's a trial and error question like this, trial and error question. So when I say trial and error, you try to list down the factors and add until you obtain the one that gives you the middle term. So let's do our trial and error here. 21x squared. What are the numbers that we can apply or that we can multiply to get 21? There are so many numbers. Are there so many, or there are just 2? It's 3 and 7. Okay, I've got 21x and 1x, 7x and 3x, minus 21x and minus 1x, minus 7x and minus. So like I said, it's a trial and error. So you try, if you multiply all these numbers, they are going to give you positive 21. But which one, when you add, is where you're going to obtain 10. So all these, they are not going to give you 10. You're going to obtain 10 on these two. This is where you're going to obtain 10x when you add 7 plus 3, that's 10. And it's a positive. If it was minus 10x, which means I was going to use these ones, but it's not minus 10x, it's a positive. So these are the two numbers that I'm having, guys, 7 and 3. So I'm going to substitute 7 and 3. So take note, guys, this is 7, so you can start with 7 also. So it's going to be like this, 7x squared. I replace this middle term with these two terms, which is 7x plus 3x. Okay, then definitely I have got my plus 3, which was there. I'm not going to leave that 3. So as I can see, I'm now having 4 factors, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to group them. Whenever you've got 4 factors, you factorize by grouping. So by grouping, we are going to see that 7 is common. So you're going to factor out 7x. That's 7x. When it is when there is positive throughout, it's an advantage because all the signs are going to remain as positive as they are. So it's 7x squared divided by 7x. 7 and 7 cancel, x squared and x, that's x, plus 7x and 7x cancels, that's a plus 1. Okay, what about these two? What is common? As you can see, it's only 3, so it's going to be plus 3, so that it remains as x plus 1. Because I'm not going to change this, it must remain as x plus 1. So I'm going to factor out 3 here. So that's 3x divided by 3, which is x3 divided by 3, that's a plus 1. So as you can see, 3 and 3 cancels, that's a plus 1. So this bracket and this bracket are the same. So what am I going to do? I'm going to factor out that common bracket, and I'll be left with these two, 7x plus 3. So that is what I have in a simplest form. So you can try as many questions, as many questions, guys, as many. You find out that it's one and the same thing. Just our last question on 5x squared minus 7x plus 2 on the same exercise. Okay, still one and the same thing. You're going to multiply the first term and the last term, so that's going to give us 10x squared 5 times 2. Okay, so let's do our trial and error. 10x squared, what are the factors of 10x squared? So let's list down the factors of 10x squared. Two numbers that you multiply. Factors simply means two numbers that you multiply to get 10. So which are the two numbers that when you multiply them you obtain 10, but when you add it's minus 7. So you just try and list them. 5x and 2x, they give us 10. 10x and 1x gives us 10. Minus 5x and minus 2x gives us 10. Minus 10x and minus 1x gives us 10. So which one am I going to add and will obtain minus 7x, which is the middle term? Okay, this is going to give us 7x. This is going to give us 11x. This one is going to give us minus 7x because it's minus 5 plus minus 2, like this. Minus 5 plus minus 2. From your calculator, this is minus 7. So you just put an x there. So these are the two, minus 5 and minus 2. So these are the ones that you're going to replace in this middle term. So it's going to be 5x squared. We replace the two terms, which is minus 5 and minus 2. So it's going to be minus 5x minus 2x. In the middle term, then definitely the plus 2, just like the 5x squared, is going to remain as it is. All right. Then the factorization go into two factors, like that. Grouping, then we're going to take out the common factor. 5 is common. As we can see, we've got 5 here, we've got 5, we've got x, we've got x. We're going to factor out 5x, which is going to give us 5x squared by 5x, which is going to give us x. Minus 5x and 5x, that's minus and a plus, which is a minus, so it's going to give us minus 1, like this. So it's just minus 5x over 5x, like this. So it's this will give us minus 1. This will cancel. All right, so we need to have a bracket of x minus 1. So this is minus 2, so it must be a positive. So we have to factor out minus 2 so that it will be positive x, so that minus and minus cancels. Plus and minus gives us a minus 2 divided by 2, that's a 1, but it's plus and minus, which is a minus. So as you can see, the brackets are the same. Always these brackets should be the same, equal. Okay, once they are the same, you factor it out. So you're going to be left with x minus 1 here, 5x minus 2. So that's what you're going to have at the end. So as we can see, guys, factorization somehow of this type of quadratic expression has something that is weird. Yes, so something that is much weird there, and you have to be very careful with that consideration that you'll be having. So that is what we have, guys, and I hope that we learned something from this type of factorization. If you have any other method, guys, let me know on the comment section. Let me know what do you think about this type of factorization. What do you actually think? This can be sometimes a disguise for this type of equation. As you can see, this is a disguised equation. Why? Because here, instead of us applying the longer method, we can start by cross-checking. Is there anything that is common? You see that 3 is common actually. So 3 is common here, so you can factor out 3. So in order for you to know that a number is common, you are supposed to be good in multiplication. That's because once you know that this number times this number gives me this, it's easier for you to know the factor. So you must be very, very good in your multiplication. So you have to revise multiplication without a calculator, guys, because mostly it's something that you can do without a calculator. Okay, so if we divide 3 and 3, that's going to give us 1. So we're going to be left with x squared. 18 divided by 3, that's 6x. 15 divided by 3, which is 5, like this. So as we can see, what we are having inside the bracket is no longer having the 3. We are now left with that part that we did last time where the coefficient of x squared is a 1. So this one you can just put your 3 outside because it's already outside of the bracket. Then you open those two brackets. Remember, when the coefficient of x squared is 1, like this, you just put your brackets like this. Then you simplify the factors of what? Of 6, of 5, which gives you 6. So what are the factors of 5? We've got 5 and 1. So you just add 5, add plus 1, just like what we did in the previous class. Because the coefficient of x squared is now 1, but the 3 is going to be just written outside of the bracket. So do not confuse this type with the previous part that we just did. This one is just a direct question that you just cross-check. Do I have anything that is common? If I have something that is common, then I just factor out like this one. 6x squared plus 30x plus 36. Don't confuse this type of equation. This one, if you are to cross-check, 6 is common, so you can factor out 6. You're going to be left with x squared. 30 divided by 6, that's 5x. 36 divided by 6, that is 6. The moment you are at this stage, the coefficient of x squared is a 1. It's no longer a 6. It's now a basic 1 that we are used to. So how do I do it? 6 is already outside of the bracket. Then I just have two brackets, x and x there. Then what are the factors of what? Of 6 that I can add to obtain a positive 5. So as you can see, it's 3 and 2. That's 3 and 2. 3 times 2, that's 6. 3 plus 2, that's 5. So it's plus 3 plus 2. You're done. It's different from the one that is not common, like what we had on these questions, like this one, 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. There is nothing that is common here. 2 is not common. So this one, we have to go the longer way. You have to go the longer way. There's no way, unless you have any other way, guys, that you know. Let me know on the comment section so that we can work on that method also for the advantage of others. Till we meet again.